Hong Kong, Kowloon District, Ip Man's Private Training Hall. March 3, 1967, Friday evening, exactly 8 p.m. The wooden floors are clean, the lantern lights low, and the narrow room feels smaller than usual because 30 senior Wing Chun disciples sit shoulder to shoulder along the walls in complete silence. These are not beginners. These are men who have trained 10, 15, some even 20 years under the same roof. They were summoned personally by Grandmaster Ip Man for something he called a demonstration. But everyone in the room understands this is something far more serious. At the center of the hall stand two figures separated by 10 feet of empty space. On one side is Ip Man, 74 years old, weighing barely 130 pounds, thin in frame yet perfectly upright, wearing traditional black silk training clothes, his breathing steady, his posture relaxed but alert, the same posture that carried him through decades of teaching in Foshan and Hong Kong, through war, displacement, poverty, and rebuilding Wing Chun from near extinction. This is the man who trained thousands, the man whose hands shaped modern Wing Chun. Across from him stands Bruce Lee, 27 years old, 6 feet tall, around 165 pounds of lean muscle, shirtless, sweat already glistening on his chest, wearing simple black pants and training shoes, his body built from years of road work, weight training, striking drills, and relentless conditioning. He does not stand in classical Wing Chun structure. His stance is lighter, mobile, bladed slightly sideways, the early form of what he now calls Jeet Kune Do. 15 years earlier, at age 13, Bruce walked into Ip Man's school a skinny teenager constantly fighting street gangs in Hong Kong. Ip Man accepted him when others hesitated. Over the next decade and a half, Bruce trained nearly every day. Centerline theory, chain punches, trapping, sensitivity drills, footwork, wooden dummy, philosophy, discipline. But 3 years ago, Bruce left for America. In those 3 years, he taught martial arts in Seattle, Oakland, Los Angeles, and Hollywood. He studied boxing, fencing, wrestling, and Western footwork. He questioned fixed forms. He stripped techniques down to efficiency. From Wing Chun's foundation, he built a new system, Jeet Kune Do, the way of the intercepting fist. Some in the traditional community praised the innovation. Others quietly called it disrespect. Now, Bruce has returned to Hong Kong, and the unspoken question has followed him back. Had the student gone too far beyond tradition, or had he simply evolved it? Ip Man himself requested this test. 20 minutes, no ceremonial rules, no holding back. Teacher and student as equals. The disciples along the wall are convinced the result is obvious. The grandmaster must prevail. Tradition must stand above innovation. But a few younger students who heard stories from America are uncertain. Ip Man breaks the silence first, his voice calm but firm, reminding Bruce of the 15 years they spent together and explaining that tonight is not about pride, but understanding how far Bruce has developed. Bruce bows deeply, thanking his teacher for everything he became and promising that whatever skill he possesses was born from Ip Man's instruction. With no countdown and no signal, the two begin. Bruce immediately shifts into his mobile stance, light on the balls of his feet. Ip Man attacks first, Classic Wing Chun chain punches fired straight down the center line, rapid and precise, each one designed to overwhelm an opponent's guard. Bruce does not meet them with traditional blocks. Instead, he slides laterally, just inches off the line of attack, redirecting one punch while snapping a finger jab toward Ip Man's eyes, a move inspired by fencing and speed training. Ip Man deflects and steps back, instantly recognizing how different his student has become. That first exchange lasts less than 3 seconds. For the next 2 minutes, they circle, probe, test distance and timing. Bruce uses angles instead of straight lines. Ip Man maintains structure while subtly adjusting his footwork to follow Bruce's movement. Neither gains ground. The students watch in disbelief as Bruce matches the grandmaster strike for strike. At 5 minutes, sweat is visible on both men's faces. Ip Man fires a low kick toward Bruce's knee, a common Wing Chun tactic. Bruce checks it with his shin and counters with a fast back fist that stops inches from Ip Man's cheek. Ip Man traps Bruce's arm, pulls him forward to disrupt balance. Bruce spins out and resets. 10 minutes in, Ip Man shifts tactics, closing distance and attempting a clinch and off-balancing throw. Bruce drops his weight, counters leverage, nearly reversing the throw before Ip Man releases. Both men are breathing harder now, not from exhaustion, but from constant tension and precision. The age gap is clear. 47 years separate them, yet Ip Man's timing remains razor-sharp. Bruce's speed is explosive. At 15 minutes, the pace slows slightly as both become more calculated, reading each other's patterns formed over 15 years of shared training. Feints are answered with feints. Attacks are countered before fully formed. It resembles a chess match played at full combat speed. At 18 minutes, Ip Man lands a controlled palm strike to Bruce's chest, pushing him back 2 steps, the first clean contact of the match. A murmur spreads through the students. Bruce immediately responds with a sidekick to Ip Man's thigh, absorbed but effective. Both men show signs of fatigue now, shoulders tight, breathing heavy, sweat soaking the wooden floor beneath their feet. As the 20th minute approaches, Ip Man launches one final combination, chain punches flowing into a palm strike followed by a low sweeping leg attack, a classic Wing Chun pressure sequence designed to break structure and overwhelm balance. Bruce evades the punches with lateral movement, jams the palm strike with his forearm, leaps just enough to clear the sweep, and in the same motion fires a straight punch directly toward Ip Man's face, stopping it barely an inch away. The room freezes. Everyone understands what that moment means. That punch would have landed clean. It would have ended the exchange. Bruce held it back intentionally. Ip Man slowly raises his hand, signaling the end. 22 minutes have passed. Both men stand breathing heavily, staring at each other, not as opponents, but as teacher and student who now fully understand one another. Ip Man steps forward and places his hand on Bruce's shoulder, speaking loud enough for every disciple to hear. For 15 years, he says, he was Bruce's teacher, but tonight they fought as equals. Bruce did not stop his final strike out of weakness, but out of respect, showing that he learned not only techniques, but character. Turning to the students, Ip Man explains that Wing Chun was never meant to remain frozen in time. Its purpose was to give strong foundations so future generations could adapt, grow, and surpass their teachers. Bruce's evolution, he says, is not betrayal, it is fulfillment of teaching. Then Ip Man looks back at Bruce and tells him that from this day forward they are no longer simply teacher and student, but two masters of the same root. Bruce bows deeply, emotion in his eyes, telling Ip Man that everything he became came from his guidance. The 30 disciples remain silent, fully aware they have witnessed something rare, not a defeat, not a victory, but the passing of martial understanding from one generation to the next. In the years that follow, this moment is debated endlessly. Some believe age slowed Ip Man, others believe Bruce had surpassed him, but those present know the truth. They saw 22 minutes of elite Wing Chun and its evolution performed at the highest level. 5 years later, Ip Man would pass away in December 1972 at age 79. 1 year after that, Bruce Lee would die in July 1973 at just 32. But on that night in March 1967, teacher and student stood at their peaks, proving that tradition and progress are not enemies. They are the same journey continuing forward.